Okay, it looks like we're on. And I'm going to do this as a live stream just because I've got so many videos that I've shot and I'm backed up and I need to be posting these videos, but I keep forgetting or being too tired or too lazy or whatever. So I'm just going to shoot this one live and it's just going to go straight up here on YouTube and then I don't have to worry about it. So, and I'm going to put up some more of the stuff that I've got, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way because this is the Mego 50th anniversary Batman, world's greatest superheroes figure. And you can see there it's got Superman, Batman, and Robin on there. And those were the three that I saw at Walmart. Got the looks like the same Batman logo that was on the old vintage Batman figure that Mego put out, based on one of the comic book logos, but it's kind of squashed down a little bit. Got the modern DC Comics emblem on there, and the modern, or at least from the late '70s Mego core emblem on there instead of the one that would have been on the actual boxed figure. Got a bright pink package, exactly like the one that the original Batman Mego came in, and the same artwork on the back. So it's kind of nice that DC allowed Mego to use the same artwork that was on those vintage action figures, as we can see, and not artwork that came out of their style guide or even the original Carmine Infantino drawing that this particular artwork is based on. I'm guessing somebody in house at Mego would have done that, as well as this Robin piece that's based off of one of the comic book covers, and this Superman. I don't recognize it, but I know it came from somewhere. Actually, this Aquaman figure was based on a Flash piece from the comic books. Got Alex Toth doing the Super Friends model sheet for Green Lantern, and it looks like based off of CC Beck's Captain Marvel for Shazam. So all three of these are going to be coming soon. I think Aquaman was actually supposed to be part of this first wave, but I haven't seen him at Walmart. I've seen these at a couple of Walmarts so far, but I think you can pre-order all these on Amazon right now. So the packaging is really nice. Again, it's not like an exact reproduction of the original Mego packaging because it's got the modern DC logo and the more modern Mego Corporation logo. So, but that's fine. You don't want it to look exactly like the classic version. Anyway, oh hey, Amy's watching me. Hello, how you doing? so, so yeah, I'm really excited to open this up. So let's go ahead and do that. So, and there's actually no tape on this holding this closed, which I was kind of surprised at. Opens right up at the bottom, and then we can slide out the insert. And again, the package itself is kind of this shocking pink color, this kind of fluorescent pink. Not something you associate with Batman. It wouldn't look too out of place on the Barbie aisle, honestly. I don't think. And hopefully I got my X-Acto knife over here. Yeah, here we go. And then I can be cutting the little plastic tabs that are holding them into the insert. And since this is a box that just kind of opens up at the top and the bottom, that means I can put them back in the box and display them that way. So that should be pretty cool. And I'm trying really hard not to pinch any of his uniform between the knife and the rubber bands because I definitely don't want to cut up his cape or anything like that. So I'm being very careful. And it doesn't look like they got anything going through his cape. McFarlane Toys. Might want to take a lesson from that with your Superpowers figures. And he's going to be on one of the new bandless Mego bodies. So, but other than that, a lot of care was taken into replicating the original Mego Batman figure. We got the oven mitt gloves, pretty cool, and the plastic boots. The colors between the gloves and the boots match up pretty well. but the blue on the cowl is a slightly darker cowl, and the cape is a much lighter shade of fabric on the cape. I'm thinking probably what happened was they probably compared, like when they were making this, they probably looked at an actual vintage Batman cape that had faded, because originally these usually were like a much richer blue, I believe. So Dr. Mego, who helped with the making of these figures, and I believe he is behind the new Mego Corporation in a lot of ways. He probably helped out a lot with this, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't use a lot of his parts that they already had. Like this is a new mold for the boots, and I think it's probably more accurate than what Dr. Mego was using for the boots, because Dr. Mego's boots were a little chunky, but I liked that because that meant they were a little more sturdy. And he's got the bat fins on the sides of the gloves where they just kind of made one fin, like the original toy did. But instead of kind of slicing up that fin, I don't even know if you can see it. There's like a little bit of scoring on there. So it's got like the texture on there to give it the bat fin look, but it's not quite like separated. It's still kind of together. And these gloves seem to be like really on his hands. So, and like I said, he's on the new Mego body. So there's a little extra elbow articulation. His elbows rotate left and right as well as going up and down like the original Mego bodies did. So that's good. I talked a little bit about those when I did the review of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow that they did for Mego, and it seems like this elbow might be a little frozen up, or it might be turned the wrong way, and I might be trying to bend the elbow the wrong way. There we go. I got it. It was already pivoted. So I'm going to take off his glove for a minute so we can see these new Mego hands. And they are a more flexible, pliable plastic than what the original Mego hands had. And you can see they got like a little bit more of a grip with a trigger finger too. So he should be able to hold any kind of accessory you want him to hold, like a sword or a gun, or I'm talking like General Mego. You probably don't really have Batman with a gun, but he could hold if you had a batarang, for example. And I believe I have one handy because I should have one that came with a Batman figure. Yeah, there we go. This is one that came with one of the McFarlane Batman figures. So he can hold that batarang pretty well. Look at that. But unfortunately, you'd have to take off the glove to have him do that because he's got those oven mitt gloves. But, if they wind up putting out another Batman figure where they wind up just coloring his hands instead of giving him the oven mitt gloves, that'll work out pretty well. So I think that they probably had in the packaging, they probably had his wrists kind of bent slightly so his cape would stay on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I noticed that, and I keep trying to adjust it, the belt kind of sits a little bit higher on the waist than I would like. And then you can see like a little bit of his shirt sticking out from underneath the belt. Let's see if I can fix that by maybe taking the belt all the way off. Now, another difference between this and the vintage Batman that Mego made is you can see there's a Velcro closure in the back, whereas the original Mego figures, of course, infamously had the what I always call the Mego snap. Like I don't think they're actually called. That's not the technical term. You can buy them at any like sewing supply store. I believe they even have them at like Walmart and places like that. But you know, if one were so inclined, they could remove the Velcro closure at the back and replace it with a snap. I believe that what I was told by, I think it was Dr. Mego himself that told me, Paul Clark, is that the Velcro is cheaper, a little more cost effective than these snaps, which would have been prohibitive. Now, I don't mind that so much with the more modern figures Mego has been making, because they are modern figures, but I do kind of wish they'd been able to use the snaps on these, since it is like a 50th anniversary Mego figure that's supposed to be like an old school one. So what I did was I kind of took the belt off entirely, and I kind of pulled up on the shorts, and I was able to get the belt on there in such a way where, like, I think it's going to stay on there like that now. But unfortunately, now you see his shirt's kind of bunched up a little bit in the middle. So maybe it'll stay like that. Maybe it won't. Who knows? So their articulation is good. It's that new Mego type of articulation. No bands. So everything is should stay relatively tight, and little extra articulations there that the original Mego bodies didn't have. So a little bit of an improvement on the old design. Hopefully they'll stay pretty sturdy. So I am digging the aesthetic look of this figure, which itself is very vintage. And you can see this is based on the earliest Batman with the removable cowl. So let's go ahead and take the cowl off of him, and then we can see Bruce Wayne's face underneath, blandly handsome. And they did a nice job with that. Looks exactly like the original figure. So, I mean, I don't have the original figure to compare, but it does look very similar to how I remember. I have reproductions of the original Bruce Wayne head from several companies, and it does seem pretty close to that one. I do think that they made this collar a little tight, so I'm having a hard time getting it off of his head. So I'm trying to take the cape off. There we go. So there's a look at the cape. Now, like the original Batman cape, this is a little short for the figure. I guess Mego was trying to save on the cost of fabric or whatever, so they made it a little shorter than how we traditionally think of Batman's cape as being. And sure enough, that belt did kind of pull up. So it's gonna be like that. So but yeah, I like the colors on this. They're really good. They do remind me a lot of the colors on the original figures. Like I said, sometimes the capes, especially, would tend to fade a little bit. So you got like lots of different shades of capes, and sometimes they'd have like a lighter shade of blue than others. But this one to me looks a lot like a Batman cape that would have faded over time. So I'm kind of suspicious that maybe they had like a vintage Batman figure and said, "Hey, make it look just like this," and the people at the toy factory were like, "Okay," and matched that shade of blue exactly. Whereas, like, I don't know if he still makes them because it's been a while since I bought any replacement parts from him like this. But I know for a while I was buying these blue Batman capes from Doctor Mego. He probably still makes them, and those were a much a shade of blue that matched the removable cowls a lot better. So, and he used to sell the removable cowls also. I don't believe he sells those anymore because, like, that's a little too close for comfort for DC's lawyers. But the ones that he sold were a lot less shiny than this one. It's interesting to me that they didn't just use, like I said, a lot of the molds that they could have used various molds that Dr. Mego DC licensing agreement is like, a lot of the times, sometimes they'll have this thing where if you make a DC toy, they own the rights to that particular mold. So that's why you don't see like a whole lot of parts crossing over back and forth between lines. Like I think when Mattel did their Dark Knight Returns figures and they reused a lot of He-Man parts for them, they had to make a specific license that allowed them to do that. So it might be the same with Mego. Like if Doctor Mego had have just used the Mego boot mold that he already had, he might have had to forfeit it and not been able to make any more superhero boots. But I always like the way the cape fits around the neck of the removable cowl, and it always looks pretty good. Unfortunately, now I've got the shirt collar sticking up a little bit there. We can see a little bit too much skin. But yeah, that's a good looking Batman, especially for like an old school This is like the original figure was made in like the early 70s, so this is definitely a figure that still has a lot of Adam West flavor to him. So even though it was made like after the TV show was over. So this would have been like a Batman that would have been kind of a transitory Batman between the Adam West television show and the Neil Adams comic books, and I do feel like it's got a lot of the flavor of both of them. But it probably was made early enough that they didn't feel the need to put Neil Adams artwork on the packaging, which is why you have and it's not even like actual Carmine Infantino artwork. It's that kind of, like I said, pastiche sort of artwork, clearly based on Carmine Infantino's artwork and a specific pose to boot, but it's not the same exact artwork. I remember that I had this on a glass that came from like Taco Bell or Pizza Hut or something like that when I was a kid. The actual Carmine Infantino art, I think it was created for a poster. It's a really cool poster. But anyway, since you are able to put this back into the box, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you're no longer watching an unboxing, you're now watching a reboxing. So there we go. And I kind of feel like I should mention that this is been about a week since Kevin Conroy passed away, and he was the voice of Batman on Batman the Animated Series, and to a lot of people, myself included, that's probably the definitive voice of the character that you imagine in your head as you read through the comics or whatever. So I kind of felt like I would be remiss without giving just a little bit of a nod to a man who brought us a lot of our memories of Batman, and he definitely deserves to be honored. And what better way than to, for me at least, than to mention him when I talk about a Batman action figure. I had the Mego Batman action figure when I was a kid. I was not fortunate enough to have the one with the removable mask that this one is a reproduction of, but this still brings back a lot of my childhood memories of Batman. It was one of my favorite toys when I was a kid, and you see I'm a big fan of the Adam West show. I got the Blu-ray right there. I got Neil Adams artwork hanging right behind me, and Kevin Conroy, man, that was a guy who Batman fans are going to remember him forever, and he's always going to be associated with the character. And it's unlikely that anybody will ever, surpass him as far as being the definitive voice of Batman for this generation, and maybe even beyond. Who knows? So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment if you haven't already. Let me know what you think about Batman, this figure in I can't talk. This figure in particular, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.